everyone, welcome back to another video. In this documentary, we will explore the worst crash in US history, the crash of American Airlines 191. On the 25th of May 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 began rolling down the runway for takeoff. The scheduled flight was due to take around 5 hours but would in fact be in the air for just under a minute before the disaster struck. Flight 191 would soon end in the worst single aircraft aviation disaster ever to take place in the United States. American Airlines was founded in 1930. It is a flag carrier airline of United States. Over the course of its lifetime, it has become the largest passenger-carrying airline in the world. Beginning in the early 1970s, American Airlines started working to maximize the capacity of their long-distance routes, looking to both Boeing and McDonnell Douglas for the solution. After seeing the result, both of the Boeing 747 and the McDonnell Douglas DC-10, American Airlines would go to select the DC-10 as their premier jetliner. The DC-10 of American Airlines had a long and storied career, one that was not without incident. In 1972, shortly after delivery, a DC-10 flying as Flight 96 experienced a cargo blowout but was able to return safely with no loss of life. However, this same issue would be the cause of major disaster on Turkish Airlines Flight 981 just 2 years later. This incident would unfortunately not be the last to involve a DC-10. On May 25, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 was scheduled to take off from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, bound for Los Angeles International Airport. The trip was expected to take only 5 hours on board. The flight was 271 people, 258 passengers and 13 crew. The cockpit crew consists of 53-year-old Captain Walter Lux, 49-year-old First Officer James Dillard, and the 56-year-old flight engineer Alfred Yudovich. All the three men were highly experienced airline pilots and would be flying a route they had flown many times previously. At 3:04 p.m., clearance was given for takeoff and the first officer Dillard set the trawlers to takeoff speed. The aircraft rolled down runway 32 or gaining speed until it reached over 100 knots and then reached V1, the speed at which aborting the takeoff was no longer safely possible. Captain Walter Lux called rotate, and the first officer Dillard pulled the control column back to lift the plane. At this exact moment, there was a shudder that reverberated throughout the aircraft and a metallic snapping sound. Captain Lux called only one word, damn, before the instrument went dead. In the control tower, an air traffic controller looked up in the time to witness a shocking sight. The left engine of the Flight 191 had separated from the aircraft and slammed into the runway. He provided a shouted report to others in the tower, then immediately called for emergency equipment to be developed. He attempted to communicate with the stricken aircraft.
American 191 Heavy, you want to come back into what runway?
There was no reply. Both those on ground and the tower could see the plane being to bank to the left. Before rolling fully on the left side, the event was captured by two different photographers who happened to be watching at the time. Next, the plane began to fall back on the ground, still on its side, until it slammed into the hangar used as a car shop. The explosion and fire that followed were both enormous, with some eyewitnesses describing it as resembling a rain of fire falling down. Rescue teams quickly reached at the site and were initially under impression that the nearby Standard Oil petroleum plant was ablaze. It is quickly apparent instead that the commercial jet had crashed. Firefighters brought the flame under the control and then began to look for survivors. It was, however, very soon clear that no one was alive. All 271 people on board were killed. Additionally, 2 car mechanics who had been at work inside the hangar at the time of the crash were also killed. The burning debris from the crash set fire to the trailer park behind the airport and caused considerable damage, but no further death on ground. The crash of 191 was at the time and still is the most deadly single aircraft aviation in US history. The National Transportation Safety Board began an investigation from the start. It was clear that the engine had separated from rest of the plane and that this had caused the aircraft to crash. But there was still question that remained. How and why did the engine separated? Had it ever been possible for the pilot to save the plane? And the most question is that who was responsible for the incident? The Federal Aviation Administration ordered that all the DC-10s be grounded and any foreign operated DC-10 not be allowed to enter in US airspace. Soon the picture of doomed flight appears in the newspaper across the country. These two events coincided to cause public perceptions of the safety record of DC-10 to sharply decline. In the months that followed, many passengers all over the world would avoid any flight that used a DC-10. At first, the cause of the engine separation was thought to be the fractured board found on the runway. This theory was announced at the press conference, before the root cause was later found not to be related to the damaged board. To find out true cause of disasters, investigators turned their attention to the black box on the aircraft, both of which yielded problematic result. The cockpit voice recorder cut out the right after Captain Lux's exclamation of "damn." It had been powered by the left engine and so had lost power at the moment of engine separated. The flight data recorder on the other hand produced information that was scrambled and difficult to interpret because of aircraft extreme and unnatural flight path. Furthermore, the engine found several dents that had not been caused by the impact onto the runway. Following this lead, it was found that the aircraft and especially the engine had undergone maintenance at the American Airlines Maintenance Facility in Tulsa. It was found that the maintenance personnel had not been following the standard guidelines for the repairing an engine. Instead of detaching the engine from its supports, known as pylon, for maintenance, they were taking off entire engine assembly with the pylon attached. After maintenance was completed, it would be then reattached using forklift. The crude method for the reattachment could cause the pylon to become improper aligned with its locking pin, resulting in the pin being bent. On the top of this, it was easy to accidentally slam the pylon into the place, damaging it and creating microscopic stress fractures. It was not only American Airlines personnel who were using this shortcut. The staff of Continental Airlines were commonly detaching and reattaching engine using same method. With the DC-10 grounding still in effect, emergency repairs were enacted across the fleet of both airlines. Many planes were found to have stress fractures, some of which were dangerously close to expanding into a breakage. With the root cause now determined, the action of the pilots was scrutinized. There was some speculation that they could have returned to the airport without incident. Aircraft that are certified in commercial aviation are designed to be able to fly using only one engine in an emergency. The Flight 191 still had two working engines when it is crashed. While it may be never known with absolute certainty what happened on the flight, the Quick Reference Handbook, which is also known as QRH, did shed some light on what mostly like happened in the event of an engine failure. The QRH instructed pilots to slow their speed ready for an emergency landing. In the case of this accident, there was no way for the flight crew to know that they had physically lost an engine and therefore should have instead maintained speed to keep aircraft balanced. In photographs taken right before impact, a trail of white mist is visible. This was found to be hydraulic fluid. The loss of hydraulic fluid would have caused the flap and slat on the left side of the plane to revert to the neutral position, and with the right flap and slat position to slow the plane down. The imbalance in airflow and lack of speed would have easily caused the plane to enter a stall and roll into its sides. The final question that emerged was, why did the crew know that they are stalling? This was answered by the loss of cockpit voice recorder. It was not only system linked to the left engine of the plane, so too was the captain's stick shaker. At the time, it was not required that the board control column will be equipped with stick shakers, or that power the stick shakers was to be drawn from all engines. The option to have both control column equipped with stick shakers was offered by the manufacturers McDonnell Douglas. The American Airlines had opted out. The NTSB concluded that the simplified, not recommended maintenance procedure carried out by American Airlines was the root cause of the disaster. The flight crew had acted appropriately given their knowledge of the situation. American Airlines was fined 5 lakh US dollar, and order was issued by the FAA at the recommendation of NTSB. It also mandated that the Latika system be powered by all engines on the given aircraft, not just one. In addition to this, both pilot and co-pilot were now required to have stick shakers, and the automatic safety valves were to be fitted on the hydraulic lines to prevent the loss of pressure should they become reserved. The FFA was criticized for its lax monitoring of airlines' maintenance practices. The crew chief who supervised the aircraft during the final inspection before the disaster, a man named Russell Marshall, would later take his own life. The American airline continues to use the DC-10 until the year 2000, around which time it was displaced by newer and the most efficient jets. The location of the disaster would remain unused until 2011, when a permanent memorial was constructed. O'Hare International Airport remains a bustling airport of this day, but it is the one that forever remembered as the location where 271 passengers lost their life. If you liked our video, do like and subscribe for more related videos. Thank you.